Question number 6, Simon O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to the Minister of Health and asks, what impact will the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement have on New Zealand's public health system?
The Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman.
Mr. Speaker, the TPP preserves New Zealand's public health system, in particular the fundamentals of the FARMAC model. FARMAC will incur very minor additional costs relating to transparency provisions. As promised, the public will still pay no more than $5 per subsidised prescription item. Furthermore, the TPP will significantly boost New Zealand's export-dependent economy to the tune of $2.7 billion per year by 2030, allowing future governments greater choices about investment in social services such as healthcare.
Question.
Supplementary question, Simon O'Connor.
To the Minister, what reports has the Minister seen about the costs imposed on New Zealand's healthcare system as a result of the TPP?
The Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman.
Mr. Speaker, I'm advised that the costs to FARMAC from the TPP are very minor, with extra transparency costs amounting to around $4.5 million in one-off costs and $2.2 million per year in ongoing operating costs out of the nearly $16 billion health budget. I've seen other reports claiming that the cost to New Zealand's budget from the TPP would be $1 billion and that people would die waiting for access to medicines. New Zealanders will be relieved that these scaremongering claims from the Labour Party are totally without foundation.
Order. That answer's gone quite far enough.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Simon O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What was the context for the constructive ambiguity quote in relation to FARMAC and TPP referred to by the opposition in question time yesterday?
Order. I'll allow that question, but I'll be listening. Order. I'll allow the question, but I'll be listening very carefully. And it's an attempt to attack the opposition. The Minister can be expected to be sat down. The Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Trade provided a briefing to members of Parliament during which he used the phrase constructive ambiguity, meaning that the TPP requirements around biologics are framed in such a way that New Zealand meets those requirements. Of course, there is ambiguity around the Labour Party's stance on this issue.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like you...
Point of order.
Yes, it is, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
Could I ask you to go back and consider the tapes from yesterday when the Minister accused me of making up this quote from the Minister of Trade, but used it today in a question to justify an answer?
Order. I will. Order. No, I don't need any assistance, but I do need some assistance here. I need a ceasing of the interjections while I'm on my feet. I will go back and have another look, but as I read the transcript yesterday, the Minister didn't actually say that it was the member had made something up. It wasn't words to that effect, but I will have another look at both. Order! I will have a look at both the transcript yesterday again and certainly be reviewing the transcript today.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
No, I've dealt with that matter. If the member
I've got the transcript here. I can
order, I
solve it
don't
for you
need
now,
that from the member.
because she is making it up.
Order! I'm very tempted to be asking the Minister to leave this chamber. It's becoming a bit of a habit of this Minister to continue to create disorder in this House. On this occasion he can stay, but if it happens again, my patience will not last very long with this particular Minister, and that is the last warning I will be giving the Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman. Question number 7, Dr Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, sir. My question